Hey everyone, it's Sammy from Push Square, and today I really wanted to talk about Project Scorpio, which was announced by Xbox at E3 last month. And I want to talk about how it relates to PS4K, or the Neo as it's been codenamed by Sony internally. Now, the first thing I want to say is, now that Sony has confirmed that there is a high-end PS4 in development, and Microsoft has obviously announced Scorpio, we can be pretty sure now that this iterative console hardware thing is happening. It's a change for the industry, it's something we've all got to get used to, and we don't know how it's going to play out yet. But there's no point in throwing your toys out of the pram about it, because this is happening. Upgraded consoles are coming. Both companies are saying that they're going to be compatible with the existing models, so there's no need to worry that you're going to get outdated massively over the coming months. But yeah, it's something we need to get used to, it's something we're going to have to adjust to, and I think it's the right time for this, starting new hardware generations from scratch every 8 to 10 years. It's an outdated concept. You know, the model needs to change, it needs to update. Smartphones are upgrading regularly, tablets are upgrading regularly, PCs are upgrading at a rapid rate, consoles need to keep up, so we need to get used to that. But the big point of discussion that I want to talk about is Sony scared of Project Scorpio? Now, I'm a big fan of Kinda Funny, and in particular Colin and Greg's PS I Love You podcast, but they have been really making me want to tear my hair out over the past few months since Neo or PS4K started to be rumoured. And basically one of the discussions on their podcast lately, if you don't listen, has been Colin in particular, Colin Moriarty, formerly of IGN, has been saying that Sony was scared by the announcement of Project Scorpio. Basically, they were worried. They removed it from their E3 press conference, and they've gone back to the drawing board with it. And I just don't think that this is true. I don't think Sony is worried in the slightest, and I'm going to tell you why. A few reasons. I think Project Scorpio was announced to combat PS4K. I think it's the other way around. I think Sony is ahead of Microsoft with regards to iterative hardware. I think PS4K is going to launch this year. We know from rumoured documents that developers are being asked to support it from October onwards. So that suggests to me that it's going to be out this year. And if you listen to what Andrew House, who's the president of PlayStation, was saying at E3, he was basically saying that when they announced PS4K, they want it to release pretty soon afterwards. So, you know, if you imagine it's announced the middle of August, they want it to be out for September the 1st or whatever. I'm just speculating about the dates, of course, but they want it to come out pretty damn fast after they've announced it. Now, I think that's smart. I think that's the way to do things. Apple has paved the way for those kind of fast announcement to release schedules, and I think Sony's smart to follow that. So I think PS4K is coming out this year, and I think Project Scorpio was announced because they know Sony is kind of ahead in the trajectory, ahead with their plans to release an updated console, and I think they didn't want to get left behind Microsoft, which is why they announced Project Scorpio. Now, if you go back and actually watch the Project Scorpio announcement video, there's a whole lot of nothing in that clip, to be honest. It's a bunch of talking heads talking about hardware, talking about power, and not committing to. They talk about VR, but they don't really give any solutions for that. They're just spouting buzzwords, basically. Now, I'm not saying that Project Scorpio isn't a real project. I'm sure Microsoft has a roadmap for what they want the console to be, when they want it to come out, and so on and so on. But that video was a lot of hot air, basically. It's a concept. They have some specifications that they expect to hit, and that's about it. In comparison, Sony has development kits with developers. We know this. Studios have said, you know, that Sony intends to get development kits out. I think they were receiving them in June, and they probably have updated, probably close to final models now. So Sony is way ahead in terms of getting this iterative console out. And I think one of the big misconceptions has been that the PS4K is not a step forward. It definitely is. The rumoured specs that we've seen show that the GPU in the PS4K is almost double. I think it's actually over double. Now, don't quote me, I'm not a hardware person, but I'm pretty sure it's over double what is in the existing PS4 at the moment. That's a big step forward. And when you consider all the games that Sony showed at E3 last month were running on standard PS4 hardware specifications, imagine what the likes of God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn and Detroit Become Human are going to look like on PS4K. It's going to be amazing. And I really think that Sony's biding its time, it's getting some software ready, and it's going to announce this system and it's going to release it quickly. I think the price is going to be good. I think it's going to be $399.99 dollars, and they're going to reduce the existing PS4 model to $299.99. So they've got that $100 difference between the two models, and you can go standard or premium. They've said that they're going to sell the existing PS4 alongside the PS4K, which makes a lot of sense. You know, give people a cheaper option, give people a more expensive option. Makes sense, right? So yeah, I think this console is ready to go. I think they're going to announce it. This morning, a PlayStation France representative said that Sony is not going to have a Gamescom press conference. And I think the timing of their next press conference is going to be important, because that's when they're going to announce the PS4K. They're going to show games, they're going to give a release date, they're going to give a price, and pre-orders will open immediately. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I think it's happening this year, and I don't think they're scared at all. The big point of discussion is that PS4K is probably going to be slightly less powerful than Project Scorpio. But you've got to keep in mind that if PS4K does release this year, they're going to have a year advantage on Project Scorpio. They're probably going to be cheaper when the time Project Scorpio comes out. And also, I think if Microsoft is banking on performance being the big differentiator in sales between the PS4 and the Xbox One, I just don't think that's true. Performance and the better graphics of third-party games helped when PS4 and Xbox One first launched and the PS4 was cheaper. Of course, you're going to buy the one that can play games better and run them better that's cheaper, right? You're going to buy that. But I think these days, the difference between the two platforms is overstated. I think PS4 is more popular and has sold better because Sony has marketed it really well and has marketed it at a global audience. Whereas Xbox is popular in the UK, it's popular in North America, but it doesn't extend to continental Europe like PlayStation does. It doesn't extend to Japan like PlayStation does. And I think if Microsoft's hoping that suddenly running Call of Duty in 4K is gonna draw people back to their platform, I'm not so sure. But we'll see how it plays out. The point of this video is, I don't think Sony are worried at all. I think they've got their plan, they've got their roadmap. I think they're ahead of Microsoft in terms of getting their iterative hardware model out. I think it all sounds really good. The one problem that they have is marketing. They need to make PS4K sound desirable without putting off the early adopters that are happy with the PS4 model that they've got. And they also have to do that while they're trying to market PlayStation VR as well, which is going to be a huge headache. It's going to be a big challenge for them, but Sony's done this. You know, they love these challenges. They did a great job with the PS4, the original launch. I don't see any reason to doubt them at the moment. Now, that's not to say that they can't fail. They can definitely fail, but I think, you know, looking at the executives that are at Sony that launched the original PS4, the likes of Andrew House, the likes of Mark Cerny, Sean Layden, Jim Ryan, all these guys, they're going to lead the launch of the PS4K too. And there's no reason to believe that they're suddenly going to cock everything up and mess it up and throw away this massive lead that they've built themselves, this massive install base. I just don't believe it. I'll be the first to criticise them if they do, but there's just no reason to doubt them at the moment. For me, I think this thing is going to come out. I think the games are going to look great on it. I think it's going to be optional. I think it's coming this year, and I think it's going to be a big deal. Personally, I'm quite excited for it. Hardware launches are always the most exciting exciting part of covering games, of video games in general, as a reporter. So the fact that we get to do PlayStation VR and very, very likely PlayStation 4K this year is going to be huge. But let me know what you think. Do you think Sony is scared of Project Scorpio? Do you think it's revising the specs of PS4K in order to catch back up with what Microsoft's doing? Are you even interested in PS4K? Or are you worried about it? Do you feel like your current PS4 model is going to get left behind? Let us know in the comments section below. Join the debate on pushsquare.com. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Seriously, thank you.